We are 3 days away from Georgia, Oregon, in Mercedes-Benz. Have we run out of things to say about the game? No. No, we have not. Have the YouTube comments run out of things to say about the game? No. No, they have not. We're going to jump into wide receiver controversy. We're going to jump into Stetson Bennett's mediocrity. We're going to jump into whether or not Oregon is the best team that Georgia will play this season. All of that and more today on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Locked On Bulldogs here, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, part of Locked On Atlanta. Hit that subscribe, that follow over on whatever audio podcast you listen to, 5-star rating review, and YouTube. Would really appreciate it. And get us over a 3.5 thousand subscribers by the start of this. We got a little bit to go. We can get there. I promise y'all.
We'll
subscribe.
We'll get there.
Help us out. Do that thing. Today, we are talking about Oregon versus Georgia and how a lot of y'all are just losing your ever-loving mind, thinking a couple things. Again, Stetson's mediocre. Dan Lanning, and he knows the system at Georgia very well. He's so familiar. He's inside Kirby's head. Bo Nix has learned a thing or two from all the losses. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. We have this and more. Or you're just bad. So let's jump into it. Daniel, let's start with this. You had made the comment on previous episodes that you are afraid because of the interior beef of the Oregon defense, which, by the way, is very stout. And those two linebackers, A-gap and B-gap, is going to be hard because they fill that very, very, very well. And their defensive line is stout in the middle. Daniel, you commented that we might struggle to run. People didn't like that.
No.
And Oregon fan said, oh, yeah, you're going to struggle on every phase, especially that. You got any more insight for the people as why we might struggle establishing the running game?
Nobody leaves a comment when they agree with your point. Have you ever noticed that? Like, it's just, you make a point that Georgia's going to struggle, and Georgia fans just right there in the comments, they're ready for it. You make a point that Georgia's going to do well, Oregon fans right there in the comments, they're ready for it. It's fine. It's the nature of the thing. Listen, it's just my honest opinion, and it has to do with Georgia's defensive or Oregon's defensive front. Excuse me. Interior of the defensive line is the strength. The edge is the weakness. Kayvon Thibodeau is gone, and they have some guys, but that's going to be a huge drop off for Oregon in terms of the edge of that defensive line. But the two linebackers in the middle, if they're both fully healthy, and the two D tackles in the middle of the D line are very stout. They are very good at football. I don't care what conference they play in. Georgia fans, don't fall into that trap. Good football players are good football players. Okay? Mario Cristobal, Oregon fans, maybe we can agree on this, is a really bad coach. Leave a comment, Oregon fans, and tell me that you agree with that point that I just made. He's terrible at coaching football games. That's why Oregon struggled a lot over the last few years. It's not because they didn't have players, because Mario Cristobal got players in there.
Yes, he did.
These players on the interior of the front seven are very good. And you couple that with some uncertainty about the health and availability of Georgia running backs. Listen, we don't know. We don't know.
Raise your hand right now if you could tell me Kendall Milton is 100% healthy.
Insiders, gurus, we're waiting.
No one.
That's no one. Okay, so we don't know about some of the availability of key running backs in the rotation. And the guys that we have, Daijun Edwards and Kenny Mack, and the freshman, Branson Robinson, are guys that we like a lot, especially Kenny and Daijun. But Kenny struggles in that type of – he has shown that he struggles in that type of get 3 or 4 or 5 tough yards running the football. You got just a dog over there, just absolutely losing his mind.
He's just losing his mind.
He says, "Look, football's coming in a few days.
He's excited.
We can't. Audio issues. First time we've had that on the podcast. I think Georgia's going to have to get creative more than they would like to run the ball. Now, I think Todd Monken will get creative. I think he's going to try to run the ball, and maybe the guards, who are a bit of an unknown right now, and the center, who is a very known commodity for the University of Georgia, maybe they will rise to the occasion, and I'll be proven wrong. And I would love that as a Georgia fan. My thought is that Georgia's going to have to get a bit creative to run the ball. I don't know. Clint, am I totally off base?
You're not off base at all because, again, the tackles I feel totally fine with. The center I feel totally fine with. Our guards, Tate Ratledge coming back from an injury, and we thought he was going to be all worldly. But look, Georgia fan, you don't know. Outside of appreciating his mullet, you don't know. So just say that at minimum. Left guard, y'all think Truss is going to be the savior over there at guard if he does in fact start. I got news for you. I would be the worst fan in the world right now if we had him at left tackle and all of a sudden you slide him in and you're like, oh no, he's going to be protected inside. He still has to block. He still has to get back in a pass set. He still has to get off the ball. He's got to move those feet. And he doesn't do, okay. Well, now all of a sudden, and to your point, players are players, and they have those at Oregon. That is certainly Thibodeau. Now generational talent. Georgia has the ability to go ahead and get a Michael Williams, who's going to go ahead, and all accounts are that he's just going to be all worldly already.
He about to wreck this game, Clint.
Trayvon, they said he reminds us of somebody. You may have heard of him before.
Let's just pause right here and take a moment for us. Over under 0.5 sacks for Michael Williams in this game on Saturday.
Over.
Okay. Michael Williams going to register a sack in this
game. Guys, he's getting a sack. He is getting in this game. I'm saying by quarter 1 or 2, he is having an impact in this game.
He will be a regular. He will be a fixture in this game.
Guys, and you have no clue. Now again, so Georgia does this, they replenish. Oregon has to have some lulls in their system. Okay, so Thibodeau's gone, the edge is gone, but the interior, they've kept these guys for a while. They're pretty good. And my point is this, Dejan, we love his ability to do things. I'm totally on board with that. And we love Kenny Mack. I am here to tell you right now, again, as a Kenny Mack apologist, if he is getting the bulk of the carries up the middle in this game, I am going to be throwing things all around my house. I don't want him having the bulk in the middle. I want Dejan or a healthy Kendall getting these carries in the middle because, I think there's a chance, and creativity is going to be key. Daniel,
we want Kenny Mack to be clear, Georgia fans. We want Kenny Mack to be used a lot. He's one of our bigger weapons on offense. We just don't want him to be used running the ball between the guards. So,
no, sir.
If Kendall Milton is fully healthy and comes out and shows himself to be fully healthy, I take back everything that I said. I think now Georgia has the firepower to at least create something in the run game. And so that will be the key for me.
That's exactly right. Hey, we're going to come back after this, talk about maybe Bo Nix and his senior year of wisdom, as well as Dan Lanning. But first, I want to let you know about BetOnline. BetOnline is your sportsbook experts. Daniel and I do sports betting. We love sports betting. As a matter of fact, come back for our full game preview of the over-under, the point spread, everything else that's happening.
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, y'all. Full preview of this game. Get this. Get over to BetOnline, your sportsbook experts, the official sportsbook of Locked On Bulldogs, Locked On Podcast, Locked On Atlanta. Everything you need. They have reliable buyouts or payouts. You can deposit very safely and easily. And they have all them stinking lines, Daniel. They just got every game, every line, halves. It's there. BetOnline, your sportsbook experts. All right, Daniel. So let's talk about the next thing that maybe people are talking about. And this one's the most fascinating to me because the narrative goes, Dan Lanning, if there's anybody who knows Kirby the best, if there's anybody on the planet that can be inside his mind, think in simpatico with him, it's Dan Lanning. Now, I just want to stop everybody right now. Okay. And I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Wasn't that the exact argumentation people used for Kirby and for Lane and for Jimbo and for everybody as it pertained to Saban? They're inside. and especially a defensive coach, Kirby Smart, who had been at Georgia, Kirby Smart with Alabama. Like, all of that's the same. What changes now? What you're saying is Kirby is not Nick, and I'm here to tell you one more time. Survey every single fan base, including Alabama, and say, we'll trade you coaches today. Georgia fans have this many people that will do that. And if you do, please leave.
Good riddance.
Good riddance. Bama fans, 20%, 25%.
They want Kirby.
They want Kirby.
Wish they had Kirby.
So
it's real.
This is absurd to me that Dan Lanning. Now, of course he knows Kirby. Of course he does.
Yeah. Of course he knows these offensive players.
Of course he does.
So does everyone who watches film, guys. Like, it's on the tape. It's right there. Why do you think Kirby spends so much time talking about watching tape of the opponent? Let me tell you what is a bigger wild card is that the Oregon offense and defense have almost no continuity from last year. That's the thing that makes it a struggle. That's an advantage for Oregon. That's where Oregon actually has an advantage. The fact that Dan Lanning knows these players, guess who else knows these players? Mark Stoops. Guess who else knows these players? Clark Lee. Guess who else knows these players? Every other coach that's coached against them in the last few years. Dan Lanning's not gaining anything. Let me point to two things as a rebuttal to this narrative. Thing number one is, did you notice how many coaches went with Dan Lanning to the University of Oregon?
There was just like an exodus coming out of Georgia, and
how many staffers? How many?
Yeah,
how
support
many
staff
employees?
Went in droves. Mm-hmm.
Not a single person.
Oh no!
Now look, I'm not saying anything disparaging about Dan Lanning because, number one, I don't have any facts to back up anything disparaging about Dan Lanning. And number two, I think Dan Lanning's a great guy. And all reports from everyone who's ever interacted with Dan Lanning are that he's a fantastic guy. Not the kind of a guy that you would find doing an interview from a yacht with a faceless gentleman. That's not who Dan Lanning is. But it is a bit interesting to me that he leaves to take a high-profile job, Power 5 conference, national brand, head coaching position. He's been on the staff at Georgia for multiple years.
Long time, Daniel. Long time.
And yet not a single person matriculates over with him. I parlay that with the second point, which is, did you hear Kirby's presser? Kirby was asked about basically this exact same thing. And he was very complimentary of Dan Lanning because Kirby Smart is a classy individual.
And as he should be, exactly.
And he said he couldn't help but say, and Dan Lanning would be the first to tell you that he couldn't have done that job without Glenn Schumann as his co-defensive coordinator.
Wait a second, Daniel.
Hold now.
Hold the phone.
Hold, please. Could it be that we still have the defensive coordinator of Georgia from the national championship run? Could it be that we also still have Will Muschamp from the national championship run? Listen, I don't put any stock in this narrative because Todd Monken knows Dan Lanning as well as Dan Lanning knows Todd Monken. So I don't know. Like, I guess it evens out if it's anything, but to me, it's nothing on either direction.
It's nothing. Daniel, this is a nothing burger, 100% all the way through. This is not to say that Dan's familiarity with Georgia is going to be a detriment. We're not saying that. What I'm saying is that it's not the inflated advantage that everybody is saying it is.
Right.
Because he has to first, this is, again, going back to the Kirby analogy. Kirby knew Saban really, really well, still does, but had to create his own brand of football in order to beat Saban. He could not replicate exactly what he did. He made Alabama 2.0, which is now Georgia, and we are now the standard. I don't care what anybody says, because we toppled in destructive manner everybody. That was okay. He did that when he created his own brand of football, utilizing tools before. Dan Lanning still has to do that. Now, maybe he is a savant and he could do that game one of his first head coaching job.
It's not likely.
I doubt it.
It's not
That's
likely.
all we're saying, y'all.
No.
I just doubt it.
Yeah. There's a reason that Kirby keeps
It's not
talking
likely.
about.
We're going to come back after this and talk Bo Nix being. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Bo Nix being better. He's learned. He's really.
I was going to say
he's
he's
made
now
leaps and bounds. He's now a great quarterback.
Look, he's a great quarterback. He's the best of the bunch in the Pac-12. He's going to be all worldly. We're going to come back talk about how Bo Nix, the senior, is wiser, better, steadier, and smarter after this.
With age,
so Bo Nix,
Clint, comes a certain wisdom. This is something that we know as older people ourselves. Now, ask those two Vanderbilt fans. Ask those guys. They had a. Actually, maybe use them as a proof that that's not always the case. Because sometimes with age, you just settle in more to the dumb person that you always were. This
facts.
Is
the narrative being written, and I'm going to parlay that example. This narrative being written is that Bo Nix is in a new system. He is smarter. He is more experienced. He's gotten out of the pressures of Auburn and the shadow of being Auburn Jesus and all of that. Daniel, I really got a question for you.
Okay.
If your sister's dating a dude and he is just dumber than rocks, okay, and he's not going to work and he's doing stupid stuff all day long to her, and then they move to another city and they say, don't worry, things are going to change.
Oh.
And the same thing happens there again. And then they say, but don't worry, we're going to get a new marriage counselor. We're going to get somebody that's going to come help us. And he's got new friends. He's got new surroundings. Guess what? The guy's a moron, and he's going to continue to be a moron. The biggest indication of your future success is your previous success. Okay? Well, previous success ain't doing well for Bo Nix against Georgia.
No.
You have to completely do something new and different and reinvent yourself in totality. Bo Nix has not done that. Again, Kirby Smart did against Alabama. We didn't do well, and we reinvented ourselves. He went out and got Todd Monken. He changed the offense. He got tight ends, which we're going to come back to that last very bit. Tight end love. Bo Nix is not a different quarterback. He's the same exact quarterback.
He is the same exact quarterback. Now, we both said on this podcast on, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday, whichever day it was. They all run together. We both said we expect Bo Nix to have a better year at Oregon this year than he did at Auburn.
Don't fight that.
Now, that doesn't mean, though, that Bo Nix is not going to still come out here and try to Bo Nix his way to success. And sometimes the Bo Nix way is very successful. And sometimes the Bo Nix way is very tragic. Right? Auburn fans are still pointing to that first drive against Georgia last year and how dominant Auburn was in one drive of football. They may get one drive of football in this game.
Sure.
But that's not going to translate into long-term success against this Georgia defense for Bo Nix. But Clint, what if I told you that the weapons he has at wide receiver,
ooh, here we go,
the number one receiving class in America, according to rivals, is at Oregon. Okay. In addition to that, transfer Chase Cota, who one savant listener commented was going to have a bigger impact in this game than Brock Bowers. Chase Cota.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. First of all, Brock Bowers, by putting on a jersey and walking onto the field, has already done more for this game than Chase Cota would if Chase Cota caught 9 passes.
In his career,
Chase Cota has 1 touchdown last year, 248 yards. I think he has 4 touchdowns total in his collegiate career. He's transferring from UCLA.
Also, DTR is a better quarterback than Bo Nix. So he's downgrading quarterbacks, Chase Cota.
Correct. Okay. Correct. The weapons aren't that. Look, if I want to know from all your fans that are in Oregon, I bet the scrimmages versus good on good over at Oregon, offense is actually doing pretty well against their defense.
Except for all the turnovers.
Well, except for that. Let's take those out. If those weren't like to matter, let's say, Daniel, if we just
okay, sure,
subjectively threw those
fake
out.
world, yeah.
I think there could be some success because Bo Nix is going to run on the edge. He's going to get some blockers. He's going to do some stupid things on the outside. The DBs aren't very good. Bo Nix would probably do well because the meat is in the middle of that Oregon defense. That's not our D.
Keely Ringo, I was told by a commenter, had one lucky play last year, Clint.
Yeah, this is and this is what's so amazing to me is we want to talk about talent, which again, we've said you need talent to win in this league. We're not
That's why the
downplaying
Dan
that.
Lanning schematic advantage, the Kirby Smart knows Nick Saban. That's why it doesn't matter because the players play the game on the field. And Georgia has all the better players in this game. Period. It's not arrogance about what we did last year. It's not a cocky attitude. Come back tomorrow and listen to our score predictions for the game and see if we think Georgia's going to win by 40, 50 points. We just believe that over the course of 60 minutes, Oregon does not have the dudes to hang around with this Georgia team. They don't have the weapons on offense to score, and they don't have the weapons on defense over the long haul to stop all of the options that are at Todd Monken and Stetson Bennett's disposal. So come back tomorrow. Tomorrow's when we give our actual game predictions. We're gonna lock up some predictions in this game. We're gonna give you score, breakdown, a detailed of how we think the game is gonna go. So come back tomorrow and find out all of that. Oregon fans, it's been fun hanging out with you. A couple more days of this, and then we'll watch a football game together. And we will expect that you'll be back on Monday.
Come back, please. Please
come back on Monday to rub it in our faces.
Please
when what you expect to happen inevitably happens. We can't wait to see you then here on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.